In this video, we are going to talk about the scope and applicability of the Indian DPDP Act. What kind of businesses is it applicable on? What are the exceptions that the government has given, and how to handle the international transfers of personal information by the Indian DPDP Act. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on data privacy. And as you know, we are going on through a series of videos on the Indian DPDP Act. So we are going to discuss the scope of the Act and the applicability of the Act. So where is this Act applicable? It's applicable on all individuals, all businesses, all enterprises who handle personal data of any individual, right? So any business, any enterprise, any individual handling personal data, processing personal data of any other Indian citizen is liable to be compliant with the Indian DPDP Act. And we talked about this in the last couple of videos as well. Processing information for the DPDP Act means you are collecting personal information, you are storing it, you are using it, you are disclosing it, that is sharing it with a third party, and finally you are destroying it from your repository. If you are doing any of these five processes related to the personal information of an Indian citizen, then you have to be compliant with the DPDP Act. Personal data acquired in digital form. This is something which is very important. If you have acquired the personal data in digital form, it's applicable to you. If you acquired it in the paper format, you can say, and digitize it later, it is still applicable to you. However, for smaller businesses where it is not required, it is not digital format, or it is not digitized, they are still working on the manual processing and forms, then this act is not applicable to them. It's beyond the scope of those companies. The data has to be processed within India. Well, any data processed in India, but as you will see in the coming slides, if it's a data of Indian citizen but processed outside India, then the processor over there is also liable to be compliant with our Indian DPDP Act. Data processed outside India but is used for providing any services to the Indian citizens. What are the kinds of data that are included? We talked about this also in the last two videos as well. Personal data, which belongs or which helps identify an individual. It gives you direct or indirect identity of an individual, right? His name, address, phone number. His name as a standalone could be common with multiple people, or in combination with address and phone number would be unique, would help identify a particular individual. So therefore, it is applicable for that particular, for processing the data of that individual, and it is taken as a personal data. There are several other things that are taken as personal data. It's not only name, address, and email address or phone number. Anything that identifies the individual, it could be his medical records, it could be his financial records, his biometrics. There's a full video on personally identifiable information, which I'm tagging here, so you can go through that. And anything that is lost from his personal data, but can also harms him, is categorized as sensitive personal data. This could be his financial information, his health record. Health record going out could be related in marketing, it could be anything, And again, I have a series of videos on each of these categories as to what harm it could be if your health record is leaked out or shared inappropriately or misused, if it is financial, if it is biometric. Your biometrics don't change, your thumb impression would stay. And if someone else rebels and starts using it, it's you who's going to be in danger. So these kind of data is known as sensitive personal data. Then we talk about exceptions to the Indian DPDP Act. So as I mentioned earlier, non-digital data is a big exception, right? So organizations still not processing electronic data, they are exempted from it. Data managed for household use, personally for the household use, is again not a part of the scope of Indian DPDP Act. Data which the data principal himself makes public, right? Then of course no active law can stop processing of that data. You made it public yourself, and data made public due to a legal obligation. It is required for investigation and anything of that side, of legal matter. Then their data is exempt, or processing of the data is exempt from the compliance of Indian DPDP Act. Anything that is for national security. Small businesses, we are still waiting for the rules that will come up and define exactly what is a small business. As of now, we only know that non-digital data is sort of a small business and is not applicable or is not under the compliance of the Indian DPDP Act. Cross-border data transfer is again important because you are sending your Indian citizens' data outside the country. So any foreign entity that handles Indian data, even if they do not operate in India, but they handle in Indian data, they are liable to be compliant with the Indian DPDP Act. Important thing is that the data being sent has to be encrypted, and there are some countries that could get blacklisted for any reasons. So in those countries, you are not allowed to transfer personal information of your citizens. Another important thing is that the Indian DPDP Act says that for a given sector, if there are more strict laws for cross-border data transfer, then your DPDP Act rules would not be applicable, right? So if in your sector you have more sensitive personal information like healthcare has, and there the healthcare rules or the IT rules have more strictness in terms of handling the personal information, and that too with cross-border data transfer, then the DPDP Act rules would not be applicable for it. So that's what I have about the scope of what all is covered under DPDP Act, who all are covered under DPDP Act, and what are the exceptions to it. In the coming videos, we are going to talk of further details about the Act, including the rights and duties of the principals and the data fiduciaries. So stay tuned with my channel, subscribe to my channel. If you like the content, please press the like and bell icon and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.